Hello again, everyone. For those of you who have just joined in the last couple of minutes, I just want to let you know that I am here and I have everyone's lines muted right now. We do have a lot of registrants for today's session, and I'm going to keep the lines muted for the duration of the webinar. If you do have any questions, please submit them through the chat box, and I'll be keeping an eye on that. And we'll get started shortly. I'm just going to give the last few people a couple of minutes to join us, so we'll get started in about 2 minutes. Thanks. All right, hello everybody, and thank you for joining us. I am excited today for a great webinar about the power of news feeds. First, I would just like to introduce myself. My name is Trevor, and I'm a customer care representative here at Clubhouse Online. And basically what I do is I help clubs improve their websites, give recommendations on their website design and content using a free service called a website audit. And I can do a website audit for your club website. I will be posting some links to that after the webinar if it's something that you're interested in, and you can always reach out to me via email, or if you have any questions, just let me know and I can help you answer those. And I just wanted to let everyone know that the best viewing experience for today's webinar would be if you are viewing the presentation through the WebEx window. What you can do is actually expand my screen to your full screen by clicking on this little arrow at the top right. And once you click that, my screen will take over your entire screen. And if for some reason you need to exit the full screen view, you just need to hover your mouse at the top of your window and you'll be able to see this little return button here. All right, so as I mentioned, today's webinar is the power of news feeds. And today we're going to be discussing news feeds from a strategic vantage point. I won't be showing every last step how to create a news article or to create a news feed, but I will include at the end of this presentation some resources if you need to, fill in the gaps about what I've shown you today. Or you can always contact our support team as well, and they'll be able to help you out. Now that said, I will be sending this presentation as a PDF for your reference, so you don't need to necessarily write down every last detail that I show you today. And I encourage you during the presentation, if there's something that you'd like me to address at the end, I will be doing some Q&A. Please send me a question through the chat window or the Q&A window, and I will do my best to address that after the fact. If for some reason you are unable to see my presentation, I just had someone let me know that they can't see my screen, but they can see my mouse, I would encourage you to restart the WebEx window, and hopefully that will pop up for you. Now, when I do website audits, I often see if people are using news feeds, and I would say the majority of the clubs that I audit aren't. And I don't really think that's because they're ineffective. My guess is probably because they either don't know maybe how to use them or where to put them, or they don't know how effective or time-saving they can be. And hopefully today I'll show you, how you can update your membership on the latest news at your club and do so without as much effort as maybe you're doing right now. So the first most important question to ask is, what is a news feed? And basically, a news feed is a collection of news items or news articles that are dynamically added to a page on your site. And this word dynamically means it isn't something that you have to create a link for or add to a particular web page. Now I'm going to show you an example of what I'm referring to here. So on our demo site, we have a Member Central page. This would be the page that our member would come to after they've logged into the club website. And you'll see I've got some links to some important places like online statements or maybe booking tea times, etc. But down below here, I have a section called Latest News. And this list here of articles is being pulled in dynamically. Each one of these little areas is actually its own news article, and I can open one of these up to view the full article. So here is the full article that was pulled into the Member Central page. Now, if I went and looked at what that Member Central page looks like in the Club Central CMS, we'll see here I'm on Member Central in my content tree, and I have some content areas. This is where I can add, those links, those buttons to certain places around my site, or, you could add photos or depending on what you need here. But then lower down, what I have is that list of news items, and you'll notice that I actually can't edit these. There isn't a way to change the text here. That's because these are being pulled in, and they actually live underneath this page in a folder called News Items. And under News Items, I have some other subfolders, and I'm going to explain my folder structure here a little bit later in the presentation, because this is what can make the news feeds really powerful. Now, when you're going to create a page with a news feed, you have some different options. So a news feed can live on a page alone, meaning that the dominant content or the only thing that you'd really see on that page would be the news feed list. Or you can have a page that is maybe full of other content, like our Member Central example, that has maybe a news feed as a portion of it. It might be a small portion, it could be half and half with content. That depends. But these are the 4 page templates on our new responsive sites that you can use to build a page with a news feed. Now, if you haven't got a responsive site yet, here are the other page templates that you can use to create a page with a news feed. Similarly, you can have a list of news only, or down here, you can have a page that has a lot of other content with a news feed maybe in the sidebar, taking a lesser role on the page. So you can use these 2 pages as a reference if you're going to add a news feed in the future. Search for these page templates when you're adding a new page, and it will help you determine which page you want to use. Just so you know, if it says it has a teaser, that refers to an image being displayed in the feed as well. All right, so now I really want to go over the benefits of the newsfeed, why I think they're quite powerful and why you should probably use them. And I'm going to do that by building a news news article and showing how that gets pulled in. So like I mentioned earlier, a news item is linked from a page without having to actually edit it, without having to actually add anything specifically to that Member Central example. So let's go do that. If I'm in my CMS here and I wanted to add another news item to this list, what I would do is I'd go to my folder structure over here, and I'm going to make an update for our membership about curling. So I'm going to click on my curling folder because I want all my curling topic news articles to live in this folder. And then I'm going to hit the plus button. And then I'm going to search through the different page types I have here. And there's a page type called news. And this is the page type I need to use. And once I do that, I have the ability to give it a title. And I'm going to take my title from an article I've got written in a Word document, and I'm going to paste it in here. There it is. You'll see here we get to determine, this is another important and benefit of using news feeds, is you can choose the date you want it to be released. And this is important because if you wanted to have something scheduled in advance, you could set it here. And this is also going to determine what the position is in the news feed. So the release date will be, if we release something today, it will be at the top of the news feed. And if we release something scheduled for tomorrow, but we schedule something between now and then, the newest release date will always be at the top. So I'm just going to click today. And this news summary is where we put the 1 or 2 sentences that are going to display in the feed. You'll notice that this is a mandatory field by this little red arrow, and then the full article would live down here. So my little summary is going to look like this. Just going to subtract that last sentence. And then I'm going to paste the full article in the box below. I'm just going to use this here. And now I can add a photo to this article, and it will also get pulled in the news feed. I've got an image of some curlers here. And some people might ask, how do we know what the size of photos should be for the news feed? And I'm going to show you why it doesn't necessarily matter, but you should stay consistent if possible. Now here, we can again choose the publish from and the publish to date. So if you wanted to set an expiry date on this article, this is where you would put the expiry date. And this would be really useful if you, for example, wanted to put up a news item about a frost delay on Member Central, and you figure it could expire by 11 a.m. You could put it in here and actually put in the time that you want the article to come down. So I'm just going to set this until the 29th at 10 a.m. because for my sponsorship search, I'm going to stop accepting sponsorship inquiries on the 29th, for example. Now I'm going to save this. And then if we go back to my Member Central page, you'll notice that it was pulled into this page here. And I didn't have to go to Member Central in my content tree and add a link directly onto the page itself. Okay, what's the benefit of that? Well, if you'd set this page up and you maybe had some ClubComm help, or you've got this page looking like you like it, if you have to come in here each time and make an addition by adding links or whatnot, there's always the risk that, you might delete something you didn't mean to, or you might change the formatting, whereas this keeps things clean and reduces the risk of making any unwanted changes to these content areas. And just getting back to about the image sizes, as long as your image size is, wider than the column here that it's displayed in, it will shrink to the size of the column. Now you'll notice down below here, I had an image that wasn't as wide as the column, but that's okay. It's just going to display at its largest size. And you can also leave an image out, and it will just display like this. So if possible, try to keep your images consistent, but you don't necessarily need to have an image all the time. So as I mentioned, one of the benefits was a release date and a publish to date. Another thing that I'm going to explain once we get to the folder structure, and this is where things get powerful, is I can create a news item, have it display on Member Central, but I can also have a topic of news items get created once and then display it on multiple pages. So for example, I could have all of my curling news display on Member Central and have my curling news also display on a curling specific page. And I'll show you how to do that. And lastly, this is really great. So if you're using a Facebook, Twitter, or any social media account, or even email marketing, each news item is going to have a unique page URL. And you could use that URL to share the news item on those social media feeds. So for example, we just put up a article on curling, and I want to share this to Facebook and use it in my email marketing campaign. I would take this link up here, copy it, and then go use it on those different platforms. And I want to stress that I often see email campaigns, email marketing newsletters that have a lot of long content in them. And what I would recommend is, instead of putting the full article or a lot of long content in your email marketing, is to create a news item like this and then just put in a link to the article in your news, in your email. People don't necessarily read long, lengthy emails, but if you give them a link, they can click it, and then it'll take them over to your website, and they can read the article here. All right, so I'd like to give you some suggestions about where you can use these effectively, and I'll show you some examples of where those have been used on other club sites. So where should you use a newsfeed? Well, the first example is the one that I've already shown you, Member Central, or this could be for some of you called My Club or Member Home. This is the place where your member comes after they've logged into the site. So if you want to communicate important news and make sure that they're seeing it, I really suggest you put it here. Now, the next place would be the home page. Now, this would be a really great place for a news feed if you want to keep the public informed about some of the great things that are going on at your club. Now, this could be a way to, highlight some of the great benefits of being a member, or some of the great initiatives that your club is doing for fundraising or helping out in the community. Similarly, you could also use the home page with a news feed if your club happens to host some, city, regional, provincial, state, or national competitions. So if you're hosting a lot of, tennis tournaments or golf tournaments that people from outside of your club are going to attend, or maybe can be a spectator at, this would be a great place to put those. I have a couple examples here. So one of our club sites here, the Future in Hospitality site, uses homepage news feed quite predominantly. You'll notice that they have 3 news items getting pulled into their homepage here. Summer 2017, this is based for employees. This would be about members, and this would be about their corporate goodwill or whatnot. So let's just take a look. You can click into it and get the full article. The other benefit of having this type of newsfeed on your homepage is it's going to keep your site fresh and updated. And if it's being searched for on Google or other search engines, having updated and recent content is going to help you boost your Google search result ranking. I have another club here called the Royal Irish Yacht Club, and on their homepage they have a different style, so you don't necessarily always have to style the look of the newsfeed the same, but they've got a couple of events that they've hosted or they're hosting, and you can find out a bit more about those. You click in, get a bit of details, and you'll notice that within the body of the article you can add images if you need to. You can add a button or a link out to other parts of your site. So maybe this is a summary of an event that's coming up and you need to add registration. You can always put a button here over to your event calendar or to a form on your site, or even just an email link can go in here to contact the club. All right, so another potential spot would be an employee page. If some of you allow your employees to log into your site and you want to keep them updated on any important news, I definitely think that would be a great spot for a news feed. Similarly, one type of page that I see getting updated very often on club sites is the golf league page, whether that be maybe a ladies league, men's league. I often see there's a lot of updates about events or tournaments, weekly play and whatnot. So to keep things a little bit cleaner and consistent, I think a news feed would be great for these pages. And kind of related to that, any kind of golf tournament results or weekly golf results, you might want to use a news feed, again, to keep things clean. And let me just show you, I have an example here. So your tournament results, each event can have its own page. You can click on here. As the results come in each week, you could obviously post them up, and you could link specifically to these if you're sending it out in an email or whatnot. In like fashion, yacht racing results would also work that way. Another one that I see getting updated often, board of directors meeting minutes. If you needed to, you could always turn the newsfeed page that has the board of directors meeting minutes. You could make that private to only the maybe 12 to 15 board members that you want to have access to it, and you could keep it from being something that you have to manually add to a specific page each time. And lastly, maybe a homeowner association news page. I know that a lot of homeowner association-based clubs have a lot of updates for their members, and again, this would be a way to schedule them in advance and also remove anything that is becoming outdated and stale. All right, now getting to how to structure your folders to take advantage of some of the power of pulling different news feeds into different pages. So first, if you just want to, dip your toe into the shallow end, you're not ready to go fully advanced, that would be it's a great place to start. Would be a basic kind of folder structure. And what I would recommend is if you wanted to have some news getting pulled into Member Central, you would just add news items directly below the Member Central page, and they will automatically get pulled in to the Member Central page if you have your news repeater turned the visibility on. And I'll just show you where that lives here. So a Member Central page, or any page that has a news feed, will have this button here called News Repeater. And if you click on it, you're going to see a path, enable paging, etc., and visibility. So in order for your news items to be visible, you just need to make sure that this is checked. If you do not have any folders, but you're just adding news directly below Member Central, this would be blank. So it would look like that. And then each news item that you add under Member Central would display here. Now, I have set my folder structure up in a more advanced way, and what I would encourage you to do is, if you have a page like Member Central where you want multiple topics of news being brought into the page, then you should create a news item folder underneath Member Central, and then for each different topic, you would create a subfolder. So in my example, I have golf news, clubhouse news, curling, tennis, and pool. And what this is going to allow me to do is it keeps things quite organized, which is nice, and I am able to target these different folders from different pages. So let's just go back here to show you how that works. So on my Member Central page, I choose where I want my news to come from. And I do that by clicking Select, and I go to my content tree here on the left, and I try to find my news items folder. It's saved under Member Central. That's the other Member Central. This is my example for online power sessions. And you'll see it right here, Member Central, and inside of this, I'm going to have my news items folder. If I click on that, all the news items that live inside of this will be added to Member Central. So I'm just going to hit Select, and then I can close, and that's what we have set up here. Okay, but what if I have another page, a page specific to Member Golf? So if I go over here to Member Golf, I have a page created down here. If you see here, there's no news being pulled in. And if we go take a look at it on the live site, I've just got Member Golf, book a tee time, post a score, and currently there's no news being dynamically added to the page. In order to do that, I would go back here, I would choose News Repeater. It's the exact same. I'm going to hit Select, and this time, instead of choosing the entire news items folder, this one, I'm going to drill down, and I'm going to open up the folder and find my golf news folder. This time I'm going to select golf news, and any news item that I add to this page will then be added to only my Member Golf page. So I'm just going to hit Save, and Publish. And now if we go and reload my Member Golf page, we should see my golf article appear. And there it is. So now, each time I add an article to my golf folder, it's going to show up in both places. And that cuts down on a lot of work. It also allows you to make sure that your members are seeing things depending on where they navigate to on the site. If you only wanted your golf news to appear on your golf page, then you wouldn't include it in the All News folder here. You would simply put the folder underneath Member Golf only, and then that would remove it from Member Central. All right, so some other important notes to consider when you're building content with news feeds. If you're going to build another page on your site and you're not sure whether or not you think you would need a news feed, I want you to consider that if you build it with a newsfeed, you can always keep it hidden. So you don't necessarily need to add news to it right away. If you uncheck the visibility box, then it will be there, just not visible to your members. And then down the road, if you need to add some news, you can always turn it on. But if you create a page that doesn't include a news feed, you will not be able to add it at a future time. So once you build a page, you know, you're kind of stuck without it if you didn't include it in the first place. Second, I mentioned this when I was building my example article, the news items will display in order of the posting date. So if you're putting something on the site and you have a posting date of today and it's the most recent, it will go by default to the top of the newsfeed. Some of the templates allow you to reverse that order. So if you need to have an ascending or descending order and you have an older website, you can change that, but I do recommend keeping your newest items at the top. And the other thing to take note of is if you're adding a lot of news over the span of a season, it can kind of get a little bit lengthy on your page, especially if you have images. You know, it's going to make for a really long scroll. Not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but what you can do is you can actually set the number of news items to display in the feed. So in this example here, I've allowed for 10 news items to display, and then I've enabled paging, which means if there are more than 10, then I'll have the ability to click to page 2 or click to page 3 to see the next 10, etc. What you could also do is you could have a button on Member Central. Let me just go back here. So you could pull in a certain number of articles to your Member Central page, and then you could create another page that was news only and have a button down here that said more news or all club news, and have this button link over to a page with all of your news articles. All right, so like I mentioned earlier, if you weren't exactly sure before today how to create a news item and you just need a bit of step-by-step guidance, in the presentation that I send to you after today, this will link over to a page called How to Create a News Page. I'll just show you what that looks like. It's on our support site, and you can watch a video where someone will take you through step-by-step, and you can watch them do it. As well, you can open up an example page to see what the news feed page would look like, and there's also the step-by-step instructions here. This is also a link directly to a news feed page example if you want to go check that out. Okay, so that is the strategic view of news feeds that I wanted to cover today. And I hope it kind of gave you an idea of how you can maybe better update and inform your club members by using news instead of just posting you know, changes to a site or to a page within a site. And if you want me to take a look at what you're currently doing on your website, you want some recommendations on the design or the content, I'd be happy to help you out. It's a free service that we offer here. You can contact me by visiting either this Jonas Club website audit site or this Club Systems Group website audit site, and you can schedule something with me, or you can just email me and ask me, you know, when I can get in touch with you about scheduling something. Now, if you want some help, you know, creating a page that has a news feed, or maybe some help setting up the home page down the road with some news feed on it, you could work with our ClubCom group, and they do custom content design. And if you need to reach out to them, you can always send them an email. And of course, if you're trying to do this yourself, you're trying to get this news feed thing working, and you're just, you're running into some snags, you're not really sure what's going wrong, please reach out to our support team. That's why they're here. They'll be happy to help you get that sorted. And hopefully you'll be able to take advantage of the things that we presented today. Now I'm just going to take a look over at my chat and Q&A, and if you guys have any questions specific to what I have shown you, then please let me know. Okay, so one of the questions that I had was, is it possible to have the news feed automatically post to social media such as Facebook, Twitter, etc.? At this time, it is not automatic. That question actually came up last week as well when I was doing this webinar, and I have written it down as a possible enhancement for future releases of Club Central, and it will be considered by our product management team if they can include it. Another question here, what's the difference between release date and publish on? Okay, well, the release date is a mandatory field that you need to set a date in. If you put in the release date as today, you could still then include a publish on date if you needed it to go live, a day or two in the future after the release date. The release date will, again, determine where in the news feed the news item will be listed, or in what order it will be listed. Another question is, can a news feed be included in the mobile app? So a news feed can be included in the mobile app as a content page. So if you're going to create any kind of content on your site, you need to then make sure that you link it in your mobile folder. If you need help setting that up, then definitely contact support, because the content on your site can be pulled into the mobile app as well. Can a news feed feature a video? If you want to feature a video, let's just go back here. So I'm going to go to one of my news items, Club Championship video. Maybe we've got a little wrap-up video. That'd be pretty awesome. And we go to the form. If you ever need to edit a news item that you've already posted, you click on the form tab up here. And if you come in here, just like you would on any other content page, you need to click on the source button here, and here is where you would paste your YouTube or Vimeo embed code if those are the hosting services that you're using for video. So you would place the embed code in here, and just like a content page, it would show up. Just note that it would not necessarily be a good idea to put it into the summary, but put it into the full news article body. Another question, can a news feed be added to an existing Member Central page? Okay, there's two parts to this question. If your Member Central page already includes the blue button News Repeater, then it will be very easy to add the newsfeed in. So if you have this button here already included in your Member Central page, then you can. If not, we would probably suggest you rebuild the Member Central page choosing one of the page templates that includes a newsfeed. I hope that answered that question. If there are any other questions, you're more than welcome to, if you think of something after the fact, you can always reply to my email, and I'll do my best to answer those. I'm just going to see if there's any in the other chat box here. Okay, I don't think there are any other questions, but like I mentioned, please feel free to contact me when I send you the PDF of the presentation. I really hope that this was, enlightening, or it shed some advantages on using a news feed. And I want to let you know that there will be a new online power session in September, and it is going to focus on social media integration into your site. So you can check that out. I will include a link in my email as well to the schedule for that, and hopefully you can attend that and get a little bit more advice and strategy on how to best use Clubhouse Online. But thanks everybody for joining me today. I hope you guys have a great week, and I look forward to doing some website audits with some of you. Thanks.